Hello. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to tune in to Asia Inspires. I'm Asia, a family marriage therapist at Push Counseling and Coaching in Mansfield, Texas. And this is Asia Inspires, where I am here to inspire the pieces of your relationships to come together. I am going to be discussing Gottman today, specifically the four horsemen of the apocalypse, what they are and how you can combat them, as well as some examples. So, if you're interested in improving your relationship, learning to identify some things that may be going on in your relationship, make sure that you stay tuned. And also follow me on Instagram at Couples Therapy with Asia. And Asia is AZIA. If you're someone that desires to strengthen your relationship with your partner, your spouse, or whoever that you're romantically involved with, then you want to know who Gottman is. John Gottman, alongside his wife Julie Gottman, have studied couples for decades. They created the Gottman Institute, which you can go to thegottmaninstitute.com to learn more information about who they are, what they do, some of the research that they found. They also have blogs, and you can sign up for emails in which they'll give you like a marriage minute, and it'll give you like some quick tips, as well as I think they have a podcast. Anyway, they also have a book called 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work. It's an excellent book, and I recommend everybody, whether you are in a committed relationship or not, whether you're married, whether you're just dating, or whether you're single, to read it, because it really breaks down some of the things that you should be doing in your relationship, as well as some things that you should not be doing. Anyway, John and Julie have studied couples for decades, and they've been able to predict in their research, they've predicted some reasons that people get divorced. So they were able to predict who was going to get a divorce with like a 90-something% accuracy rate. That means that they were able to look at these couples, observe them for a little bit, and then predict who was going to get divorced. And then some years later, at least 90% of those couples actually did get divorced. So he took that information that he learned from observing those couples and was able to apply them in books, in videos, interviews that he's done. He's been on talk shows. He's been all around the world expressing, like I said, some things that you should do, some things that you should not do. So we're going to talk about the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, which are 4 things that you should not do in a relationship because they can lead to divorce. They definitely lead to feelings of unhappiness in a marriage. They can break down the communication, create a rift between you and your partner. And you may, as I'm going through it, you may notice that, oh, I do this, or oh, my partner does this. I do want to quickly add that there's nothing wrong with getting therapy. So please do not allow these YouTube videos to be couples therapy for you. It's important for you to still seek out a therapist, especially if you are feeling like the intimacy is dying, if you feel like the communication is off, if you feel like you continuously are arguing about the same things, or if you notice that one of these patterns or one of these things that you do is a reoccurring thing. It's not just a one time, once every so often thing, but like it's something that you finding yourself, you're finding your partner do often. Please go to therapy. I know that therapy is stigmatized, especially when it comes to couples. But please know, you do not have to be on the brink of divorce to go see a therapist. It's important for you to go even before divorce is even a thought in your mind, because therapists like myself, we can help you to learn how to communicate better. We can help you to learn how to stop these patterns. We can help you to learn where the patterns come from. We can help you in so many different areas. But anyway, the first issue that we're going to address is defensiveness. And these are in no particular order, but defensiveness. And this usually happens when we feel attacked. And instead of us addressing the situation, we play the victim, we make excuses, we try to push it back on the other person. You're always criticizing me, or I don't say nothing when you do A, B, C, and D, instead of us just taking responsibility. And this can hinder the ability for us to communicate effectively and to problem solve. And that can create an emotional wall between the two partners, because if I'm coming to you about something that's bothering me and you're never receptive of it, then, some of that feelings that I have for you is going to be cut off. I'm going to feel like I can't come to you with issues, whether big or small, And vice versa. If I'm always on the fence about things, or always defensive about things, you come to me and you say, hey, I don't like when you do A, B, C, and D. And I'm always like, well, I do that because yada, 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 I'm making excuses. Then that's going to make you feel like you can't come to me with issues and that you just have to live with issues. And that's not the way that you want to live in a marriage or a relationship. The next horseman is criticism. In relationships, we want to feel safe. If you feel like you're being constantly criticized and you can never do anything right, which can lead to defensiveness, then you're not going to feel safe and you're not going to be able to grow and build an emotional connection with that person. You're going to shut down. Excuse me. So when you are starting a conversation, if you're telling your partner something that bothers you and you're like, you always do this, you never do this, you're criticizing that person. And like I said, it's just making them not feel like that they're safe in the relationship. It makes them feel small. It doesn't make them feel like that they can do anything right. And that can definitely lead to an emotional distance between the two of you. And if you have emotional distance, if you feel like you don't have trust because you can't be yourself, or because you can't bring anything to, you feel like you can't do anything right in the relationship, then where is that going to lead? Where is that going to lead y'all? So the first one was defensiveness. The next one was criticism, and we know that criticism can lead to defensiveness. The third one is a stronger version of criticism, and that's contempt. This is where it's just deeper criticism. So it's no longer like, you don't do this, you never do this. It's really criticizing the person's character, their personality, like their core, not just their habits, but who they are. This is where you may be very disrespectful. You may roll your eyes. Sarcasm is used. So for example, if you've been on your partner about, hey, take out the trash on these days, and your partner's like, okay, I'm gonna take out the trash. I'm gonna start taking out the trash. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Okay. You mean like you took the trash out last time? Yeah, sure. Okay, whatever. That's contempt, and it's insulting. It doesn't make that person feel good. Once again, it makes them feel like that they can't do anything right. Now, understandably so. Once you've gotten to a point in your relationship to where you're constantly having to repeat yourself to a person, you can get to a point of feeling this way. Understandable. But there are things that you can do to not get to that point to where you are being disrespectful or where you're using sarcasm in the relationship, because once again, that's just building a wall between the two of you, and it's just pulling you further and further and further apart. So, like I said, stay tuned for the next video in which we will talk about examples, and then we will discuss some of the solutions as well. The last horseman of the apocalypse, and this one actually is the last one. So it usually does go criticism, defense, contempt, and then stonewalling, which is the last one. And stonewalling is when you are just ignoring it. At this point, you do not feel safe in the relationship. You do not feel like you can be yourself. It's when your partner walks in the room and you're just like, here they go. They try to start up a conversation and you just keep doing what you're doing. You just keep scrolling on your phone. You just like keep watching TV. They're trying to bring up important subjects and you don't even want to hear it. You walk out the room. You just, yeah, whatever. You're ignoring them. There's no communication between the two of you. So then, of course, that's leading to the relationship being unhealthy. If y'all are not communicating at all, then that's not a healthy relationship. And this one is actually the most deadly, because once you get to this point, it's more difficult for you to get back, but it can be done through therapy and through some other tools. But therapy is honestly probably the best bet, because a therapist can help the two of you work through some of the safety issues that you feel. Like I've mentioned before, in a relationship, the goal is for you to feel safe. And if you are at that point of withdrawing, just ignoring your partner, leaving, walking away, jumping in the car and taking a drive, or y'all two don't even want to be in the same room together, that means that y'all are not in a safe space around each other. Those are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I hope that you have acknowledged the patterns that you follow in your relationship, and that you are aware of some areas in which you need to improve. Hopefully, you will take the steps in the right direction by seeking out a therapist Psychologytoday.com is a great place for you to find a therapist because you can filter it through insurance, through your race, through gender preference, through whatever issues that you're going through. And maybe it's that y'all don't really need a couples therapist. Maybe you need an individual therapist so that you can work through attachment issues, you can work through trust, or maybe infidelity has happened and the two of you do need to seek out a therapist as well. Whatever the case may be, I also have created a video on ways to find a therapist. So make sure you check that out as well if you're really just having difficulty, you don't know where to start. If you're in Texas, feel free to go to psychologytoday.com. You can type in Asia Tisdale and you can start a consult with me or schedule a consult with me, a 15-minute consult with me, so that I can be your therapist. I'm only licensed in the state of Texas, so that means that I can only see people who live in Texas. But anyway, I hope that you learned something. Pass this along to a friend, to a family member, because you never know who is in a rut in their relationship and they're wondering why they feel the way that they feel, why they just can't stand their partner, why they feel like that communication is just off between the two of them, and they don't realize that it's because one of them is defensive or both of them are defensive, or because there is criticism. One person doesn't feel like that they can communicate with the other person because every time I talk to you, you criticize me or you roll your eyes or you're sarcastic. So spread the word to other people, and like I said, stay tuned for the next video because I'm going to show some examples from movies, from TV shows, and then I'm also going to give you some ways that you can combat the 4 horsemen. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day.